Oh, what's going on, guys? This is Garrett from RUNAMUCK MMA, and today, ladies and gentlemen, I am bringing you some coverage on some UFC events that are going on in the world today. So, basically, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen, is we already came out with a video of this during our Sunday recording session. So, this came out on Sunday, or literally in the middle of like midnight for Monday. But the point is, we came out with this video, which will be in the description of this video, where we talk about Islam Makhachev, who had to pull out of his fight with Rafael Dos Anjos. I recently learned that that was due to a staph infection. He had to pull out just a week away from his main event slot with the former lightweight champion in Dos Anjos. And it seemed like all hope was lost because Dos Anjos was not going to be able to pull out a main event. He had fought in welterweight for so long. He was finally making a return to lightweight. He had fought, I believe last time he fought was in 2019, so almost a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say his last fight was a loss to Michael Chiesa. I could be wrong. Again, this is stuff that I should have had pulled up prior to recording, but that's just what I do. That's just what happens. Um, I'll have it right here. Yeah, his last fight was a decision loss to Michael Chiesa, who has been making the rounds. But basically, what has been going on is we had rumors that potentially Michael Chandler could step in, or at least Rafael Dos Anjos had submitted the challenge to Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, who was a former Bellator fighter, has now become a free agent for the UFC. Unfortunately, we haven't seen him in any UFC bouts at all since he had made that announcement and has done so. And of course, Michael Chandler had to turn down the offer for multiple reasons. One, we guys have to keep in mind, not every fighter is an anytime, any place kind of person. And even then, when you're a person like that, sometimes it's not all too realistic. And we've seen what can happen with a lot of fighters that take fights on short notice, such as when Jorge Masvidal earlier this year took the fight with Kamaru Usman on 6 days' notice, and unfortunately was just not in the best shape of his life going into that fight. Because of travel, the weight cuts, the media, and overall just not having enough time to prepare. So Michael Chandler said, fuck that. Can't do it. He said, I have plans. The weight cut would be impossible. Getting into the shape for that fight would be impossible within 5 days. And not to mention, another big thing here, this isn't all Michael Chandler's fault. The UFC brass did not offer him the fight. So the UFC never even brought the fight to Michael Chandler's eyes. They never brought it to his attention, which leads me to believe that they're still working on something with Michael Chandler to set up some big fight, big money fight, and get that set up. So we'll see where that goes. So that trail of breadcrumbs ended. However, a new door opened up altogether when just today, if I'm not mistaken, the Irish Dragon, former retiree Paul Felder, one of the best UFC commentators alive, came out and accepted to take the fight this coming Saturday. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead and pull up the article that has the most amount of information on screen right now. I will put this also in the description. This is on SureDog. As you can see, it is about Paul Felder explains why he accepted the short nose bout versus Rafael Dos Anjos. And in the article, Paul Felder basically goes on to talk about how he's in great shape. Paul Felder, even though he had a split decision loss to Dan Hooker again earlier this year and considered retirement, he never actually followed through with it because after that great fight with Dan Hooker, people started to really understand and realize in the greater mainstream that Paul Felder is a great fighter. He's very talented. He's got the goods. He's a great commentator. So people know him. They know what a great fight IQ he has. They saw his fight with Dan Hooker. That's potentially in the top 5 best fights of 2020. So they know he's got the skill. They know he's got the IQ. And he's only 36. He's still young. And here's the thing: during this entire time, since that fight, he has been biking a lot. He's been swimming a lot, and he is a lot closer to the 155 weight limit. I believe, according to this article, according to Paul Felder, he is around the 170s, somewhere in that range right now. But apparently, he's in pretty good shape. He's in pretty tip-top shape and can actually make that weight in 5 days. In 5 days' notice, which is great. Which is great news. Paul Felder's manager even had some positive things to say, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. Any other time, this would have been impossible, but Paul has been biking and swimming like a madman. He woke up this morning and his health data says he's peaking. The universe wanted this to happen. And this has to be probably the best thing that could happen for both Rafael Dos Anjos and Paul Felder, considering that Dos Anjos is making his return to 155. Like I said, he's coming off some losses. Paul Felder is coming off some losses. Dos Anjos, coming back to lightweight, wants to be able to have some kind of fight against a top tier opponent. Paul Felder, again, still being in the top 10, actually was also taking this fight to accommodate and going down to 155 to accommodate Dos Anjos, because when it comes to how this fight is going to affect Dos Anjos, either way, it's a win-win, because you have, and even for Paul Felder, well, for Dos Anjos, it's not a win-win. What I meant to say is for Paul Felder, it's a win-win. For Dos Anjos, if he beats Paul Felder, boom, Dos Anjos is in the rankings again. If Paul Felder wins, he just beat a former champion of the division, and then he starts getting big money fights. And as a person who's 36, getting a little bit up there in MMA age, and not being, I guess, not. It's one of those things where it's weird. You can almost argue that his fight with Dan Hooker was really his big moment in a while, in terms of a fight, in terms of a big name fight. So if he has this other big name fight, this main event this Saturday against Rafael Dos Anjos, then that adds to that repertoire of, okay, well, I want the big name fights. I want the marquee fights. Fighting a former champion is marquee. If I beat that former champion, then that's going to set me up for even bigger fights down the line. And that's what he's going to start having. He's going to start having those big fights. You could see him potentially fighting really anybody in the top 5 at some point. Really anybody. If we were going to go to the rankings right now for the lightweight division, you could see him fighting all these other guys like Charles Oliveira, who's been kicking ass. A rematch with Dan Hooker. Put that dog to bed. And then you got all the other guys. He could potentially have a fight with Beneil Dariush, who's been rising to the top. I know he's at number 11. A fight with Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee always is a big draw. And even Al Iaquinta, if Iaquinta starts going and making the rounds again. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that if Paul Felder wins, it's going to be good for Paul Felder. But even according to Paul Felder in this article, he states that even if he loses, it still shows people that he was able to come in here in the shape that he was able to come in, make that weight, and put up a competitive fight against the former champion. And that could potentially set him up for other big fights down the line. So for Paul Felder, it's a win-win either way. And I just wanted to be able to share this information with you guys, because you probably already know it by now, but it's just crazy. I'm freaking out over it, because it's like, yes, I love Paul Felder. He's one of my favorite commentators, and I love it when he fights. And I was scared for the longest time that he wasn't going to make a comeback and make a fight. But now he's going up against a former champion in Rafael Dos Anjos. And that is a fucking fight that I can't wait to see. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, I'm really curious. How excited are you guys for Felder versus Dos Anjos? So that's going to be it for this video. And I'm going to go ahead and see you guys later. Peace.